Once a proud father, envisioning a bright future for his son, now stood at a crossroads, grappling with a truth that shattered his dreams. His child, Jamie, had become Emily. As the storm within him brewed, Robert's struggle between love and fear would lead to a moment of violence that would forever alter the course of their lives. In the quiet town of Willow Creek, where the scent of pine mingled with the echoes of laughter, the Thompson family appeared to be a model of suburban harmony. Robert Thompson, a proud contractor with a booming business, was known for his unwavering work ethic and dedication to his family. His wife, Laura, was a beloved schoolteacher, admired for her compassion and warmth. Together, they had raised their only child, Jamie, whose creativity and spirit shone brightly in their lives. Yet beneath this veneer of perfection lay a growing divide, one that would unravel the fabric of their family. Jamie had recently come out as transgender, choosing to embrace the name Emily. This transition, filled with both hope and uncertainty, was met with mixed reactions at home. For Laura, it was a journey of love and understanding, a chance to support her daughter in becoming her true self. But for Robert, Emily's transition was a bitter pill to swallow. He struggled to comprehend a reality that seemed to challenge everything he believed about masculinity, family, and honor. As Emily began to explore her identity, the tension within the Thompson household grew palpable. Laura tried to mediate, creating an environment of acceptance, but Robert's discontent simmered beneath the surface, erupting during family dinners and quiet moments that once brought them joy. One fateful evening, the storm clouds gathered, both outside and within the Thompson home. Emily had returned from school, her heart buoyed by the acceptance she found in her friends and the local LGBTQ group. She felt empowered, ready to express herself authentically. But as she walked through the front door, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Robert was already home, his face set in a grimace as he watched a news report on the television. The sight of Emily filled him with a mix of pride and dread, and as she entered the room, he couldn't suppress his irritation any longer. "What are you wearing?" he barked, his voice low but charged with anger. Emily hesitated, glancing at her outfit, a simple but colorful dress that made her feel beautiful. "Dad, this is just me being myself," she replied, trying to maintain her composure. "Yourself?" Robert scoffed, standing up. "You're a boy, Jamie. You're just confused?" "Dad, my name is Emily now," she said, her heart racing as she stood her ground. "You need to respect that." "Respect?" Robert shouted, his voice echoing off the walls. "You think I can just ignore this? You're ruining our family." Laura entered just in time to witness the escalation. "Robert, please?" "This isn't helping," she pleaded, stepping between them. "Emily is just trying to be honest about who she is." But Robert's anger was a force of nature, and he was not in a mood to be reasoned with. "I'm done with this nonsense," he yelled, pointing at Emily. "You're going to stop this right now, or you can find somewhere else to live." Emily's heart sank as she processed his words. "Dad, please don't say that. I'm your daughter." Robert turned away, frustration boiling over as he slammed his fist against the table. The sound reverberated through the house, leaving Emily feeling more alone than ever. As the days turned into weeks, the atmosphere in the Thompson household became increasingly oppressive. Emily withdrew into her room, pouring her feelings into her art canvas after canvas filled with vibrant colors and emotions she couldn't express aloud. Meanwhile, Robert's resentment festered, and he spent long hours at the local bar, drowning his anger in whiskey and the misguided camaraderie of men who shared his outdated views. Laura, caught in the crossfire, felt a growing sense of helplessness. She attended support meetings for parents of LGBTQ children, hoping to gather strength and strategies to bridge the chasm forming between her husband and daughter. But every time she returned home, the tension in the air felt thicker as though it could choke them all. One evening, as thunder rumbled outside, Laura found Robert sitting in the dark, a half-empty bottle of bourbon in hand. The flickering light from the television cast eerie shadows on his face. "What are you going to do, Robert?" she asked gently, her heart heavy with concern. "I don't know," he muttered, staring blankly at the screen. "I just can't accept this. It's not right." "Robert, she's our daughter," Laura urged, taking a seat beside him. "Can't you see that she's trying to find herself? She needs our support now more than ever." "Support? You think I'm supposed to just pretend everything is fine?" His voice rose again, fueled by his internal conflict. "This isn't what I signed up for, Laura." As their voices grew louder, the storm outside intensified, mirroring the chaos within. The argument spiraled, leaving Laura in tears as Robert's anger darkened the room. The breaking point came one stormy night, when the rain lashed against the windows, and the wind howled like a banshee. Emily had just returned from a meeting with her friends, her heart full of hope after discussing plans for a local Pride event. She felt buoyed by their support, ready to face her father again, hopeful for understanding. As she entered the house, she sensed the tension immediately. Robert was pacing the living room, his jaw clenched, eyes narrowed. "Emily!" he called, his voice a growl that sent chills down her spine. "Get down here." "What is it, Dad?" she asked cautiously, her heart racing. "We need to talk," he said, his tone cold. "Can it wait until morning?" "I'm really tired," she replied, trying to defuse the situation. "No, now," he snapped, and she could hear the anger simmering beneath the surface. When she stepped into the living room, Robert stood facing her, his hands balled into fists. "You think this is a game? You think you can just walk around acting like this?" "Dad, I'm just trying to be myself," Emily said, her voice shaking but firm. "I can't change who I am." Robert's face contorted with rage. "This isn't normal. You're just a confused kid. I won't let you destroy our family." "Destroy? I'm not destroying anything," Emily shouted, tears welling in her eyes. "I just want to live my truth." At that moment, the storm outside reached a crescendo, thunder rumbling like an omen. Robert's expression twisted further, and Emily saw a darkness she had never encountered in her father before. In a flash, he lunged toward her, grabbing her shoulders with a grip that felt like iron. "You're going to stop this nonsense now? Let me go," she screamed, fear coursing through her. But in his mind, a plan was forming, one that twisted love into something grotesque. He couldn't bear the thought of his family being a laughingstock, of being a failure in the eyes of the community. In his intoxicated rage, he believed he was protecting them all from shame. As the rain battered against the windows, the confrontation reached its climax. Robert stood there, the hammer poised in his hand, a symbol of his misguided intention. Emily, frozen in fear, realized the gravity of the situation. "Dad, please. I'm your daughter," she cried, tears streaming down her face. "You're hurting me." But his heart was hardened, a mind consumed by dark thoughts. "You need to be saved," he shouted, and in that instant he swung the hammer down. The sound of the impact echoed through the house, drowning out the storm. Time seemed to slow as Emily gasped, her world shattering into pieces. Darkness enveloped her as she crumpled to the floor, the weight of betrayal crashing down like the thunder outside. Laura, awakened by the sound, burst into the room, her heart racing. "Emily!" she screamed, but the sight that met her eyes was a nightmare. Robert stood over Emily, the hammer slipping from his fingers, his face a mask of horror as realization dawned upon him. "What have I done?" he muttered, stumbling back, the weight of his actions crashing down like a wave. "Get away from her!" Laura screamed, rushing to Emily's side. She knelt, cradling her daughter's head in her lap, the warmth of her blood seeping through her fingers. The sirens wailed in the distance, a haunting sound that mirrored the chaos in their lives. Robert stood frozen, his mind racing as the weight of his actions bore down upon him. He had crossed an unforgivable line. Emily was rushed to the hospital, her life hanging in the balance. Laura held her hand tightly, praying for her daughter's recovery. The sterile smell of antiseptic filled the air, mingling with the sound of beeping machines that echoed the fragility of life. Days passed like an eternity. Laura refused to leave Emily's side, her heart aching with the weight of what had happened. The world outside felt distant, overshadowed by the tragedy that had struck their family. Meanwhile, Robert was taken into custody, the reality of his actions slowly sinking in. In the stark confines of the police station, he grappled with remorse, the shame of what he had done overshadowing his thoughts. As he sat in the interrogation room, his mind replayed the moment over and over, each iteration filling him with guilt and despair. When the trial approached, Laura found herself in a whirlwind of emotions. Anger, grief, and betrayal wove together, leaving her feeling shattered. How could the man she had loved turn into this? The father who had held their baby girl now stood accused of attempting to take her life. Emily underwent multiple surgeries, fighting her way back from the brink. With each passing day, she showed resilience that left her mother in awe. Laura clung to hope, attending support groups and speaking out about the violence faced by transgender individuals, using her experience as a platform to promote understanding. The day of the trial arrived, heavy with anticipation and dread. Laura sat in the courtroom, surrounded by people whose lives had been touched by the story of the Thompson family. The room buzzed with murmurs as Robert took the stand, his face a mixture of defiance and remorse. "I didn't mean to hurt her," he repeated, his voice trembling. I didn't know how to handle it." The prosecution painted a picture of a man unable to accept his daughter's identity, consumed by a toxic blend of anger and fear. Laura listened, her heart breaking as she realized how far removed he had become from the man she once loved. When Emily took the stand, she did so with a strength that surprised everyone. She spoke openly about her journey, her fears, and her dreams. "I am not a mistake," she declared, her voice strong. "I deserve to live my truth, just like everyone else." As she recounted the events of that night, Laura felt a surge of pride. Emily was no longer just the girl she had raised. She was a warrior, fighting for her right to exist. The courtroom fell silent as Emily's words resonated deeply, shattering the stigma and ignorance that had fueled her father's action. Laura's eyes welled with tears as she watched her daughter reclaim her narrative, her voice cutting through the tension like a beacon of hope. In the aftermath of the trial, Robert was sentenced to prison, but the damage to the Thompson family was already done. Laura and Emily faced a long and arduous journey of healing, grappling with the trauma of the past while trying to forge a new future. They moved to a different part of Willow Creek, seeking a fresh start away from the whispers that haunted their lives. Emily focused on her art, pouring her experiences onto the canvas, using creativity as a means of expression and healing. She found solace in painting, each stroke a step toward reclaiming her identity. Laura became an advocate for LGBTQ rights, speaking at local events and sharing Emily's story to raise awareness about the challenges faced by transgender individuals. Together, they attended support groups and engaged with the community, building connections that fostered acceptance and understanding. As the seasons changed, so did the Thompsons. They learned to find joy in simple moments, a shared meal, an afternoon spent painting together, or a quiet walk in the park. The scars of the past remained, but they were no longer shackled by fear or shame. Emily began to flourish in her new environment, embracing her identity fully and advocating for others. She volunteered at local organizations, helping to create safe spaces for young people grappling with their own journeys. Through her art, she became a beacon of hope, inspiring others to embrace their truth. One sunny afternoon, as Emily prepared for a community art exhibition showcasing work from local LGBTQ artists, she felt a surge of excitement. This event was a chance not only to display her art, but also to connect with others who had faced similar struggles. The day of the exhibition arrived, and the gallery buzzed with energy. Friends, family, and allies gathered to celebrate creativity and resilience. As Emily looked around, she felt a sense of belonging that had once seemed impossible. During the event, Laura stood beside her, beaming with pride. "Look at all these people who support you, Em," she said, her voice filled with emotion. Emily smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I never thought I'd be here, Mom." "It feels amazing." As the night wore on, Emily spoke to many guests, sharing her story and the inspiration behind her art. Each conversation reinforced her belief that change was possible, that acceptance could blossom even in the darkest of places. Later, as she stood beside a piece depicting her journey through pain and acceptance, a young girl approached her. "Your art is beautiful," she said shyly. "It makes me feel less alone." Emily knelt down, meeting the girl's gaze. "You're not alone. We're all in this together. Keep being you, no matter what." As the evening drew to a close, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. She realized that her story, once marked by fear and isolation, was now intertwined with the stories of others' stories of hope, courage, and love. Months passed, and Emily continued to thrive in her new role as an advocate. She became involved in organizing local pride events, working alongside allies to foster a sense of community and acceptance. Each event drew larger crowds, a testament to the growing understanding and support for LGBTQ rights in Willow Creek. However, the echoes of her past remained. On particularly hard days, memories of her father's violence crept into her mind, threatening to overshadow her progress. During one such moment, she found herself sitting on the floor of her room, surrounded by her artwork. The vibrant colors contrasted sharply with the heaviness in her heart. Laura knocked gently on the door before entering. "Hey, sweetheart, can I come in?" Emily nodded, wiping away a tear. "I'm okay, Mom. Just thinking." Laura sat down beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "It's okay to feel overwhelmed. You've been through so much." "I just wish things could have been different," Emily said, her voice breaking. "I wish Dad could have accepted me." "I know, honey," Laura replied softly. "It's not fair. But you've shown so much strength. You're not defined by what happened. You're defining your own future." As they sat together in silence, Emily felt a flicker of hope. She could honor her past while also embracing her future. Her journey was her own, and she was determined to make it one filled with love and acceptance. As the following summer approached, Willow Creek prepared for its first Pride Festival, a culmination of the efforts of many individuals advocating for LGBTQ rights. Emily was at the forefront of the planning, excited yet anxious about the event's potential impact on the community. On the day of the festival, the atmosphere was electric. Rainbow flags adorned the streets, and laughter filled the air as people gathered to celebrate love and diversity. Emily stood at the entrance, her heart racing as she welcomed attendees. "Are you ready for this?" Laura asked, squeezing Emily's hand. "I think so," Emily replied, her voice steady despite her nerves. "This is more than just a festival, it's a statement." As the festivities began, Emily moved through the crowd, engaging with participants and sharing her story. Each conversation ignited a sense of purpose within her, reaffirming her commitment to advocating for acceptance and understanding. Later in the day, Emily took the stage to address the crowd. The energy was palpable as she stepped into the spotlight, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nerves. "Thank you all for being here today," she began, her voice resonating through the speakers. This is a celebration of who we are and a reminder that love always wins. As she spoke about her journey, the struggles she had faced, and the importance of supporting one another, she saw faces in the crowd filled with empathy and understanding. The warmth of acceptance washed over her, and she felt a surge of empowerment. When she concluded her speech, the crowd erupted in applause, a wave of love and solidarity that enveloped her. Emily stood there, tears of joy streaming down her face, overwhelmed by the sense of belonging that filled her heart. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Emily and Laura stood together, watching the festival unfold. They exchanged smiles, knowing that they had come a long way. "Look at all the love out there," Laura said, her heart swelling with pride. "You're helping to change lives, Em." Emily nodded, feeling the weight of her journey transform into something beautiful. "I couldn't have done it without you, Mom. You believed in me when I was struggling to believe in myself." As they shared a moment of quiet reflection, Emily realized that her journey was far from over. The work of advocating for acceptance and understanding would continue, but she was no longer afraid. With her mother by her side, she felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. In that moment, under the vibrant rainbow flags and the cheers of the crowd, Emily understood that healing is a lifelong process, filled with hope, understanding, and new beginnings. Hand in hand with her mother, she felt ready to embrace her future, united in love and unwavering in their commitment to living their truth. Years later, Emily stood in front of a group of young people, sharing her story at a local support group. The room was filled with faces eager for connection and understanding, and Emily felt a sense of purpose wash over her. "Remember," she said, her voice steady and full of conviction, "you are worthy of love and acceptance, just as you are. Your journey may be challenging, but you are not alone. Together, we can create a world where everyone feels safe to be themselves." As she looked around the room, she saw hope reflected in their eyes, a hope that mirrored her own journey. The legacy of love and acceptance had taken root in Willow Creek, and Emily was proud to be part of that change. With each story shared, with each moment of connection, Emily knew that they were paving the way for a brighter future, one where love triumphed over hate and acceptance flourished in the hearts of all.